Hey, welcome to another episode of Ball at All Cost. It's going to be a bonanza. We've got a special guest in Keaton Hutchings with us this evening, so we're really excited to have Keaton in the building. But before we get speaking to our special guest, as customary on Ball at All Costs, and I'm sure you're doing it at home, we like to do that check-in. And I'm going to start off with OC. OC, how you doing, my brother?
I'm good, guys. Yeah, excited for this one tonight. Weekend. Do you know what? The weekend had me ask myself some questions. So it was my nephew's birthday yesterday, and we went to Ninja Warrior in Chelmsford.
Okay.
And it's just questioning my whole training regime, isn't it? Because got the kids watching me. They're like, "Go and do this," and it didn't go too well. So
it looks easy on TV, doesn't it, OC?
Yeah, it does. So I think I'm going to switch up my training program. But other than that, the boy played today for his team, and yeah, let's say they haven't got up to the best start. But listen, we'll give them a bit of grace. We'll give them some time, let them bed in. But I've seen better performances and results. Let's say.
How are the parents this week?
Parents were on better behaviour this week. So yeah, at least that was a positive.
You know you're putting them on blast, right? You know this, right?
Nah, it's a good bunch. Let me say they're a good bunch, man. All good, man. We'll see what next week brings.
Awesome. Rash, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm just here, busy weekend as usual for everyone. Just taking this all in, man. But I'm good. I'm glad to be here, man.
Yeah, the highs and the pressures of grassroots football. It's been a roller coaster, to say the least. But Andrew, how are you finding things? Have things simmered a bit over your end?
Yeah, they've calmed down a little bit, but literally that weekend I got a phone call from somebody else kicking off. I had to slow their roll, pump the brakes, calm them down. Like, let's remember who we are, what we're doing here. And yeah, this week. Didn't see you today, Rash.
I know. It was so in and out, but it was, yeah.
I know. Yeah. Listening to your podcast, that podcast episode you did, obviously I wasn't on.
Yeah.
You talked about your daughter. Like, I think that gives an insight. And I remember when we were at Watford together, we were talking about that, ships in the night, pretty much. And yeah, there's no surprise. You've got an international on your hands. This is what's going to happen, right? So I didn't take it personal. I didn't think you guys were sore losers and stuff, so it was fine.
I love
Shots fired at Ball at All Costs.
You know, innit? I'm just taking it gracefully today. You know them ones. I'm like, cool. It's cool.
Listen, Ola and I always go at it. Today was calm. It wasn't one of those days, but it's all good. It's the beginning of the season. It is what it is. It's under 11s football at the end of the day.
That's it.
But I know somebody's riding a wave again. The champions are winning. 2 big wins on the trot. I know he wants to speak about it, so we might as well let him speak about it.
I can't speak about it. All I can say is that we are not we are looking up to, the more seasoned and traditional teams in the likes of yourselves. We will just say that we're happy to be part of the table. We're happy to go on this journey with you all, and it is what it is today.
Can I just say, great deflection. A for effort in terms of deflection. You have a target on your back. You are the champions. You cannot get away from it. There's no ducking it. There's no hiding. You are the champions. People are coming for you. You are defending your title. So far, so good. So it is what it is. Well done.
Thank you. But let's move on. But it's fun. Look, it's going to be an interesting season. I think there are the Echo A is, for me, is equivalent to Cat 2 or more, and any opportunity to win a game should really be appreciated, and it's a major achievement. So for us, we're just amazing. But look, Keaton, sorry, I know you had to hear we did our kind of customary check-ins, but welcome to Ball at All Costs. Before we dive in, how are you, mate?
I'm very good. Thank you for inviting me on, gents. I much appreciated. And obviously, listening to grassroots chat is everything I'm about. So it's always good to hear people's points of view and obviously the ups and downs. And as everyone seems to be, the dealing with coaches and parents. So,
Yeah.
which, as we all know, can be the bane of everything.
100%, 100%. And look, I think that is where we should kind of kick things off. Keaton, look, it's a pleasure to have you with us this evening. And I think for the people who don't know you, we know you. Can you just give us a bit of a background as to who you are, what you've been up to, and where you're at right now in terms of your experience, in terms of the grassroots game, you know, academy level, all of that, because you come with a wealth of experience. So yeah, really delighted to have you here.
Yeah, no, as I say, look, with me, from South London, from the Aylesbury estate, I don't know if anyone knows it, from South, you know, lots of footballers around the area, so naturally you know a lot of people that are in it, a lot of people that play it, everything like that. Obviously played when I was younger, and again, the people that you meet, it was one of them. I got to an age where I was like, look, I need to do something for myself as I got older. I also work as electrical engineer on London Underground. So been doing that for a long time, working nights. So for me, I had a lot of time during the day to do what I wanted to do. And obviously I wanted to give back to one, the community, but two, football. I knew a few people that worked for Millwall at the time, obviously my local club. So it was quite a natural thing. Hooked up with a guy called Dean Palmer, who is now the head of coaching at Leyton Orient Academy, and his brother Paul Palmer, who actually, a little shameless plug, has got an ITV series out at the minute with Ian Wright about girls football.
Nice. What's it called?
So I can't remember. I don't want to live by that, but you'll definitely find it. Putting anything to do with Ian Wright on ITV, and it's there. Paul's a top guy. He's actually the director of sport at St Dunstan's College in Catford, private school there, but he was at Millwall for a long time. He's also the father of Casey Palmer. Used to play for at Chelsea, now plays for Hull, plays for Jamaica. So as I say, they got me in at Millwall, and that was it. Just ran off with it. Going out, like everything else, knowing that on my skill set, I think relationships is key, number one for me. Always has been. Something that my mum's always been big with me on is sort of, you know, treating everyone the same, no matter who they are, what they do. Just talk to them. And so it was one of them that's going out into the areas. It's all right me messaging them on Instagram or Facebook, or, you know, getting someone's number and messaging them, but it's not the same as when you're going out and taking time to actually see what people are doing. And then, so yeah, that was it, really. Started building up my network, getting players in, getting players through the door. And then, as time went on, took control of the pre-academy at Millwall, but also scouting all the way up, all the way through the whole academy, which is one good thing about Millwall, it's always been there, is a small staff. So everybody chips in with everything, which is always good, goes above and beyond. And in return, you get a lot of access. So they got a lot of people, especially when I joined, a lot of people that have been there a long time. So at the time when I joined, Kenny Brown, who's now the academy director at West Ham, he was there. You've got so many people now that are in high jobs elsewhere outside of Millwall as well as within the club. So that was valuable for me to learn, especially early on. And then as time went on, you know, not only helping Millwall, but obviously then these people that were going off to different clubs, helping them with players if players were unsuccessful at Millwall or not maybe what we was looking for, passing them on to other people, and I was quite fortunate to be able to get them signed there as well. And then yeah, just picked up experience more and more, and obviously taking charge of sort of the recruitment up to 12s, but then also still carrying on with all the other age groups. It was good. And then luckily enough, that sort of led into where I'm at now, which I actually left Millwall this summer, just gone, I was approached by a big Spanish agency based out in Madrid, but they work worldwide. A company called Niagara Sports. So they represent Dani Olmo, Álvaro Morata, the new #1 goalkeeper for Barcelona, Joan Garcia, amongst a ton of other players. Got about 90 players in the stable, all over. And then, yeah, so as I say, that was a big jump. I'd actually signed the owner's nephew for Millwall about 3.5 years ago.
Wow.
So that's where the relationship started, because his brother lives down in Kent. But the owner himself played for Atletico Madrid in Spain. Won Olympic gold medal in Barcelona 92 for Spain. Played in the same, went Euro 96. Played in the same Spain team as Guardiola, Luis Enrique. So he's got, holds a lot of weight, which is good. And the biggest thing for me is that they're a family. It's just a family-run company, even though they're big. And given that, for me, relationships and access is everything, since I've been there, it's been amazing. They've given me sort of, access to help out wherever, and obviously push the players that they already have. And using the links that I've got in England already, plus, again, through the network of people that I know, creating more links and developing more links, trying to place some players over here, but also players here over into Europe and elsewhere. So far so good, but obviously comes with its natural stresses, but that's all part and parcel of football. For me, I find that it's definitely something that I'd want to do. I think it's like most people that love football, to do it full time, it is the dream, but naturally, academy football unfortunately doesn't pay. It doesn't pay enough for me to support myself and 3 kids.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, this was probably the one viable option where I can actually look to make a sort of a good change going forward for them. So, but yeah, that's where I'm at.
Do you know what? That sounds like it's an interesting journey that you've had, Keaton. Interesting journey, and but the reason that I wanted to get you on is obviously you've got a wealth of experience, but obviously we've worked together. You worked with my son, and that piece around relationships is so important. And I think when it's all said and done for my boy, whether he's playing in a World Cup final or he's playing over goals as an adult, we can always look back on how the experience that he's had and how you treated him within Millwall, because the love and care that you showed to him, but every single boys that you knew weren't going to sign, but you still had them, you still looked after them, you still gave them the experiences. I'm sure there'll be many people within the game that say, you know what, that Keaton, he's a top guy, and listen, he cares. So just wanted to say that on record in the first instance, mate. Really appreciate what you've done. And sorry, the agency piece sounds really interesting, but what I want to understand is just a bit more about your time in Millwall, and what does it entail to sort of head up that area with an academy, head of recruitment and academy? What's the stresses like? What this is a few different questions, but what are you looking for within the academy? How was your time in Millwall?
Well, for me, obviously being from the area anyway, it was massive for me to feel that, I could provide an opportunity for boys from the area. So that ultimately was one of the big drivers for me early on. The fact that I understood the type of person that was walking through the door. It didn't necessarily have to look like me or sound like me, but I knew the areas where they were from. I knew the schools that they went to, or the schools their parents went to, or potentially people that their parents knew, whether it's family members, friends, whatever it may be, extended family. And I think for me that was a big thing, and a big thing at the time especially is that it was the same with the other staff. So obviously everyone has their thoughts and feelings about South London, but it's such a mix and a melting pot of people that everyone is different. Everyone's got their own story, and people react to things differently. So whether that's behaviours, whether that's cultures, whether that's whatever it may be, and you can't treat everybody exactly the same in that way. There is slight differences. There's slight sort of how you're dealing with things, how you're speaking with people, and so on and so forth. And I think that was always like something that was big, that you have to be liquid with it. You have to be moving as they're moving and going, right, okay, how can I, not necessarily being different people, but just adapting to who you're speaking with. And I think that was a big thing why I'd like to think that we were successful with some of the players we got in. I'm talking collectively, not just me. Millwall have always, I say punched above their weight. They've always been successful in academy football. Yes, a lot of it has to do with the fertile area that they're in. Arguably, I know studies prove it, but one of the top 3 most fertile areas for professional footballers in the world, alongside, I think there's a suburb of Paris, and then in Rio as well. South London per area is, it's right up there, top 3. So, it's one of them that, for me, it might not have been the A-star player at, say, under 8s that, your Chelseas and Arsenals are picking up, but Millwall was great at developing players and almost like having a home from home and having staff that actually cared, rather than just seeing it purely as a job. So, and Millwall were really good at recruitment in staff, of recruiting people that actually dealt with kids. So whether it be behaviour units, whether it be teachers, whether it be football coaches outside that run their own football coaching companies, a lot of people that were dealing with kids on a daily basis, a lot of people who were parents as well. So, and I think that was like, that eclectic mix of staff again, everyone didn't look the same. People looked different. People were from different places. Like Millwall have had a history of having like Brazilian coaches. I know you wouldn't think it, but they've currently got an under 9s coach now, Brazilian. There's an under 11s coach at Arsenal that was at Millwall for a few years, Brazilian guy. So it's Millwall employ coaches that are live in South London or from around the area anyway. So, and as I said, that eclectic mix of people, they're going to get that through the door with the kids. So you might as well have it with the coaches too. And I think, as I say, that was the big success for us.
Yeah. I think that obviously on the journey from pre-academy through, you go to different places if you're lucky enough to be invited. And I think what stood out to me was it within Millwall, they know that they have kids in front of them. You go to some other places and like the way that they're speaking with kids or training kids, almost like they're training adults, but like you've created an environment there, not just you, obviously the club, but like that actually football's there for the kids to enjoy first and foremost. Obviously you're looking to try and get the top players to get them through the door and obviously develop them, but I think that's lost within academy football at times. Like actually you've got kids that, listen, they couldn't even wipe their bum a few years ago, you know what I mean? But like you're getting into them like they're fully grown adults. So that really stood out for me.
Sorry, can I just add on that one?
Yeah,
because I think it's one of them things, because I got 3 kids myself, it was one of them, what I don't want is an environment that I wouldn't want to send my own kids to. So as soon as them kids walked through the door, they were effectively my kids. So it was a case of, I'm going to mess around with them, I'm going to, ask them. Most of the kids, I say to them, what did you do to that school? How was school? What did you do? Because our main night is a Friday night. And if anyone knows their kids after school on a Friday night, they're not always the most switched on. Tired, upset, anything can happen on the journey. It's the end of a week, right? I can't, but unfortunately that is the main day. So it's when we try and make the best of it. And it was always a big thing of having, we'd do sort of like exits, sort of fun drills right at the end, make loads of competition stuff right at the end. So not just fundamentally leaving with a game all the time, but sometimes it might be something stupid like clipping a ball over a mini goal into another mini goal, something like that, to create that, or a penalty shootout or something where it's the kids against the kids, to create that bit of hype. So then when they're leaving with the smile on their face and going, I want to go back there next week. because unfortunately, Mill, whether it be finances or just where they're at investment-wise, that they can't live with the other academies in regards to what people invest. They're light years away from, your Arsenals and your Chelseas, whether that be staff in numbers, whether that be infrastructure, whether that be, facilities. And I think that you've got to think ahead. You've got to think outside of the box, and you've got to be cute with what you're doing. You're not only just trying to get the best kid, but you're trying to get the best families in. And then so that's always a number one thing. I remember it sticks out so much that I've got quite a good relationship with the academy director, I'd like to think. And he always said, like, we want good people through the door, first and foremost. So, and if they're a problem at under 8s, it's likely they're going to be a problem at under 14s, 15s, 16s. So if we can start off good, we're on a plus. So that was always something big for me. So if I'm looking after someone's kid, I'm demonstrating that I can look after your child, and that we're providing a safe and happy and enjoyable environment whilst they're here, as well as we will push the boys. Don't get it, like OC will tell you, like, we'll tell the boys. We would tell them when something weren't going right. And it's not because, we don't want them to waste our time or they're rubbish or whatever it may be, but it's a case of, push yourself. Push yourself. You are the only person that can get you where you want to go. It's not the coach, it's not the parents, it's you. Unfortunately, that is what it is. And the kids that are obsessed, the kids that are determined, the kids that just live and breathe it, they're the ones that push through. Not always the most talented. And I see it time and time again, the boys that just will push and push and push. And then, and again, I know it's cliche, but the ones who listen, like, I've found the boys that, are coachable, want to take on information, soak it all up like a sponge, they're the ones that kick on. I'll take the information and I'm going to run with it, I'm going to try it. And then it's our job to give them encouragement to run through a brick wall, because that's always one of the big things that me and our head coach, at the time of the under 8s at Millwall, Chris Hubbard, he wouldn't mind me shouting him out, that we've known each other since we were teenagers. So we've known each other 25 years, and it was one of them that it was one voice in two people. So, and like, he's off the same estate as Rio Ferdinand and Anton Ferdinand. Like, so he grew up with them. Obviously, in the melting pot of where we were, everything was football. Everything was football. So it's a case of you're seeing players that have made it to the very top, and then you're seeing what were certain things that they had, traits, not just abilities but traits, and that character and personality to push through is something that we knew that if we could get out in the boys to show us who they were as players first. I think that's another thing, in my opinion, where some clubs maybe get it wrong, that they just look at a piece of paper or an iPad, a drill, or how you should play, this is how it looks on paper and this is how it should go. But reality is, you've got maverick kids with great personalities. Why would you want to take that away? But also you've got other kids who are introverted, but that doesn't mean they're bad players just because they're not loud. And so I think it's one of the big things for us was always, I want to know who's coming in the door, show me who you are, and then we'll build on top of that, rather than we're going to teach you our way and that's it. That's why we had so many different types of players, and no 2 years looked the same. And I think that's what always held us in good stead as well, is that I'd want to look at like OC's boy, like, who are you, what do you bring, before I then try and add on to what you already have. So and then obviously my job then is to provide the boys with as many opportunities and experiences as I can, in as many different formats and venues and away games and home games and wherever else, to try and sort of, build up a rapport with families and experiences at the stadium. Like OC will tell you, regularly arrange games where all the boys will come down to a first team game. Again, something that Mill will do really, really well. All the boys, academy boys, have got access to home games every single game, 2 tickets every single game, 23 times a year, as well as various other things the academy and the first team do. So, that's always been a plus for me, is that when you're building a relationship with parents, you've got to show them what that you can look after their kids fundamentally, I think. And as I say, I think that's something that we put a lot of big onus on, and pushed on from there really.
Well, Keaton, can I just say, Millwall are losing a real one, right? They're losing a real one. Listen, when you came on, I didn't know what you were going to say. I knew your background in terms of work-wise. I didn't know where you came from. Listening to you, I could listen to you just talk and talk and talk, because the honesty, the sincerity is one thing, but also the ideals and the ideas that you guys are working with at Millwall is smart, but it's also from the heart. And somebody's asked me previously, would I let my son play for Millwall? And I was like, yeah, they've got a good academy actually. I'm aware of it. You're under 11s now. We played them actually not so long ago, the Saturday side, and they look good. And I was like, yeah, they're coached well. But listening to what you said now, just a little bit behind the scenes about kind of the methodology and the mindset of the coaches and the recruitment staff, I think is really, really amazing and a testament to yourselves, what you're doing there. So I just had some questions on the back of that. One of them, I guess, for you is because you recruited, I guess you scouted all age groups whilst working nights. I'm going to do what Deji does here as a bit of a bundler. The first question is, how did you said you had time during the day, but how much time did you have during the day? How difficult was it to scout across all age groups whilst working nights? That's the first question. And the second part of that is, what were the differences in kind of the methods when scouting under 8s and then under 12s and under 14s, whatever age groups there were?
Yeah, so this is going to sound so cheesy, but I used to work while people slept. So when you're snoozing indoors, whatever downtime there was at work, whether it's on the way to work, during, after, whatever it may be, because again, when I finished, you can't just go to sleep. It don't work like that. So it was one of them. I'm checking the phones. I'm thinking, right, okay, schedule that email to go out. These guys, I've got these messages. I've literally been drafted. I'd draft loads of messages, so as soon as I woke up, they'd be fired out, or I'd fire them out. I know it sounds bad, at 11 o'clock at night, just before I started work, and then I'd have a response by 7-8 o'clock in the morning when someone would wake up, and then that's it. And then they'd be, and then I could start the day, and I'm already ahead of people because I've worked through the night.
Yeah.
And we've also through the years, other parents have worked nights as well. Black cab drivers, their kids that are, that I've dealt with them. Other people that have worked nights. So often I've had conversations 1-2 o'clock in the morning. There's one in particular, an under 14 boy is actually signed at Millwall, a centre back. His dad. Often I've had conversations with him at 1-2-3 o'clock in the morning. Putting a lot of ideas my way, So, but I think that's something that has always been big for me as well. Is I know I've touched on it before. The relationships part of keeping relationships with all the players that I've had signed. I've been quite fortunate with the numbers. Because again, understanding who Millwall are and what they are, what they like, everything like that. That. Not a case of I found it easy, but because I knew the identity of what they wanted from the top to the bottom, I naturally knew when I watched the player if they had traits of Millwall, and it starts from who the person is and the personality rather than just the talent, because they've got such a variance of player that, as I said, like no two age groups look the same. So it will be, Millwall look for good decision makers. Always look for good decision makers. Lots of people that Millwall have, fast direct wingers. Millwall have strong strikers, link up players that run through the middle, boys that can link up whether it's defence to midfield to attack, people that play in between lines. So Millwall are very, very good at that, but also being able to identify, weaknesses within other teams, and because we will then make like obviously you'll be able to testament to that, is we make the boys run and work for each other.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
and as soon as
Seen
they've
that.
got that identity to work with each other and for each other, they then naturally work as a team. And the more that they work as a team, they end up just suffocating other teams. So I've always said it for everyone, and this may be, you know, a hint for a lot of academies out there. The way to beat Millwall is in the first period. You know, they play a 4-period game. You beat Millwall in the first period. Other than that, it's likely Millwall are gonna just suffocate you, because the press is too high, the press is too good, and that's another thing. Things that real football's actually taught, not just play a 2-yard ball out to the left or the right, dribble up a little bit, play out to the, you know, it's not like that, because football's not like that. And it also doesn't mean just pump the ball long every time. Like OC will tell you, we don't do that. We tell the goalkeeper, make a good decision.
Yeah.
Right? If it's on, do it. If it's not, don't. It's the same as we want players who can pass. We wanted players who could dribble. We want players who could shoot. But we wanted it doing it at the right time in the right areas. So it's
Brilliant.
for you to understand and for you to work out where them areas are, and to tell us, is it the right place? So I want you to dribble around 4 players, but if there's a sweaty across the box with to a free man, I want you to play that ball.
Yeah.
And I think that
of
was
course.
always something that, and that is throughout the academy. Like, you know, Millwall score a lot of goals from high press, a lot. First team have always done it, and academy do it, because a lot of the boys are intelligent boys. So they've always, even though they're, you know, tough streets of South London, checkered past, everything like that, which can never be ignored because it is what it is. The past is the past. But there's a lot of boys who are very, very highly educated. A lot. I've got a big history of it. Lots and lots of boys are very, very intelligent, and they work things out very, very quickly. And them high IQ players do very, very well. And as I say, you know, you mix them with your maverick winger or your 10 or your speedy player or whatever it may be, and it's the perfect blend for a team. And you're not building a team, of course, but it's a team full of individuals, and you've still got to have that balance. There's no point Millwall going out and signing 10 number 10s, for instance, because there's only going to be one number 10 on the pitch. Then you're going to end up with 9 unhappy number 10s playing left back, right back, wherever.
Yeah.
So if there is a defender that wants to defend, that's fine, that's good. If there's a winger that wants to be a winger, that's good. So our teams were traditionally quite balanced. So you sign 2 centre midfielders, you sign 2 centre backs, sign 2 or 3 strikers, 2 or 3 wingers, things like that. So there's always competition, but again, the 2 centre midfielders would maybe look differently. You'd have a box-to-box midfielder and a ball-playing midfielder, maybe, you know, and the same with the centre backs, whatever it may be. So it's something that, again, you're looking at the dynamics and going, right, can these individual players grow together as a team, that they're not going to be blocking each other's pathways, but also they're going to be given enough time to sort of develop and grow, which is ultimately the number one thing, right? So and that was a big thing for me, and being in charge of it, especially from the root, from under 8s, which again is something that, if I'm being completely honest, like, I did it because I wanted to do it, not because that was solely and only my job. Like, it was one of them things that if I could start the club off the right way, then it was easier to recruit further down the line, which it was. Because if I knew that, again, as I said, Millwall are not going to get the A-star player. So if we get a team full of, let's just say, B-grade players, and then develop them, they will develop into A and A-star players. Millwall have got track record of selling tons and tons of academy players. That's not their model, but so many clubs come and try and buy them. So it happens every single season, at least 2 or 3. And in the time that I was there, I was at Millwall 6 seasons. That I saw some very, very talented boys go off to other clubs because, you know, they knew that they had the sort of the solid background and the solid foundation to sort of push through, which was good. And they was exposed to a lot of different things. And again, players playing up, being given opportunities elsewhere, like, you know, different age groups and different formats and whatever. Like, even today, I was talking to an under 11 parent today. even though I'm not at Millwall anymore. But the 5 under-11s played in the under-12 Premier League Fives tournament today for Millwall.
Yeah.
5 of them. And they ended up beating Spurs. I think they came 7th out of 24, beat Spurs in the 7th and 8th playoff. So again, for the parents, they're like, it's amazing. One, it was all Cat 1s mainly. I think Charlton and Peterborough, I think, maybe were the only ones that weren't. And and I bet it was Palace, Arsenal, Tottenham, West Ham. So all the big hitters in London. But yeah, they compete. And I think they've got the sort of reputation that doesn't matter who you go and play against. Like OC will tell you, you know, one of the big things for me, again, relationships-wise, go and enter loads of tournaments up and down the country at under 8s. Man United, Man City, Sheffield United, Derby, wherever it may do big tournaments, and you know, Millwall more than hold their own. So I think it's something that just expose the boys and see where they can fly.
Keaton, sounds amazing. Listen, sorry to cut you. I have so many questions. The more you talk, the more questions I have, but I'm conscious the other boys are going to want to ask you some questions. What I'm going to do now, before I hand over, is put in a shameless plug, because it sounds like a club that my son would enjoy and be good at. So OC, Keaton, we're going to have a conversation after this and get him in Millwall. I'm going to hand over to Deji or Rash to see who wants to take the floor.
You know, listening to everything is refreshing because it takes me back. I remember I'm going back 2 years ago, my twins. Millwall was the first one actually to come in and give them that pre-academy experience. And I remember bringing them in with from their grassroots team, Finesse at the time, and it was a good experience. But I remember the meetings we had, and one thing you made it very clear is, don't worry about the club you're at, just remember that we're going to compete with the big ones. And I remember you saying that very clearly. And I remember Chris as well, one of the coaches, I think he's a top coach, very good at how he engages with the kids, highly rate him.
Yep.
And it was a good group of boys as well that was in there. And I weren't too surprised at how well they came along in terms of when I heard how they got in their first season, how they were competing. I remember even hearing, because one of my mates' sons signed, and I remember him saying, yeah, they dominated Arsenal's. There was even with the Chelsea games, and I was like, it just took my mind back to everything that was put out to the parent, and it was obviously showcased through the kids and how they was being coached and taught. My only question I was coming with is completely different. Is how do you look kind of gauge from that age group to, like, say the 12s, when you say, you know what, there's always a big overhaul where things change in terms of the whole 9-a-side feature of the game, and there's always talk that there's always a big change in terms of people staying, coming in, and they also like to say some kids, they already know for sure they're not going past under 12 stage, and I'm like, how do you decide that so soon? What are the key things?
I think, again, one of the big things that's probably helped with Millwall is, again, with the staff numbers being so small, is that communication's key, right? And there's always meetings with everyone because it's one coach's room, so everyone's in there, again, mixing different age groups, different days, and people are always talking. So obviously you've got the phase lead, and then you have the two at the age group, whatever it may be, but also if them coaches ain't there, other coaches are stepping in and seeing the boys. But also one of the big things, especially in the foundation phase, is that on a Friday they all train together. So 8s, 9s, 10s, 11s are all on the same pitch at the same time. So what you're seeing is natural progression through. So a parent can stand there, see the 4 quarters and the four different age groups and go, okay, I can see my kid now. What does the under 9s version look like if they're an 8, or what does the under 11s version look like? And then, but the coaches are also doing the same. So they're seeing. Don't get me wrong. Again, no two kids are the same, but certain similarities, certain traits that kids display, and then again, the opportunities that are provided throughout the season. It's not always about just playing up, but if a boy is regularly playing up and doing really well, why are they playing up? What are they doing? Again, a case has to be made with the head of coaching as to why a player needs to be playing up. I think, again, there's more thought to it than just, I need a player, he's coming up with me on Sunday. So again, there's that thought process there, which is good, and I think that's far out. And not every kid is ready to play up, and it might not be that they're not good enough. And then I remember on my talent ID level 3, I was having a chat with a guy called a Chelsea scout called Frank O'Brien, who took Conor Gallagher into Chelsea, and he was telling me about how Conor, played at his own age group all the way up, and how his journey, he faced a lot of adversity, but pushed on through, but the one thing that he had was, he was so driven, and he had the right mentality and everything like that. And then there's certain things that I went back. I remember after speaking to Frank about it, and then going back to the club and looking at players. So when you're saying about going to under 12s, it's then because I've had experience of recruiting all the way through and not just stuck at the first stage, the preliminary stages, is that right, okay, I know what a first team player looks like, I know what an under 18 looks like, and then also the history of players that have come through the club. So, and even 2 players that came through the academy that are now in their 40s, that have got kids going through the journey again. Like, there's a player, Mark Phillips, his son Charlie is goalkeeper at Arsenal, under 14. Mark came through the academy at Millwall, was 20 years a pro, but his son now plays for Arsenal under 18s at 14.
Wow.
So it's looking at, and I've always seen him because I know Mark, and it was one of them that you then see kids grow, and then you see, right, okay, that's an under 14, can I translate that back a few years, and go, right, I'm looking at certain things that why people are good, and then think, right, okay, does that player demonstrate that? And releasing was never a thing that I used to do in the older age groups. It was only with the 8s. But I think with every kid, you can make a case for staying, but you could also make a case for releasing on certain kids for certain reasons. And it might be, someone will always say, one of the big things that always people say is they can't move. I hear it all the time, right? It's just, and then it's obviously then it goes down the athlete route rather than the footballer. But I think that goes with where your bias is at as a club, as a bunch of staff. Do you value footballer over, power, speed, whatever it may be? And I think there's a place for both, right? And I think that's probably been the big thing at Millwall, is do you demonstrate what you're good at enough to stay? So if you're a good passer, when you're on the ball, are you effective? If not, you see you later. You're absolutely rapid, but if you don't ever do anything with it, or you're always injured because you can't control your body, it might not be for us, or what, the various other things. So yeah, I would say I'd agree with what you said, that at 12s you do see a shift. I think a lot of that, if I'm being completely honest, and something that I've had lots and lots of discussions and debates with people, is obviously that's where you get the early maturation. People hit year 7, and you always get this couple kids that shoot up to 6 foot, and then their fundamentals and foundation of playing football goes a little bit west, and they just use brute strength, power to bowl people over and go and score a goal. I've seen probably more often than not that comes back to bite them by under 16, because they're not as effective. Because by under 16, I was watching actually like my son's at Mill, he's under 10, but I was watching, and they train the same night as the under 15s and 16s, and I was watching under 16s that last week, and I remember that group at under 12s, and the boys that were really small versus the boys that were really tall, and now they're 16, there's maybe 2 inches in it at max. So boys that were maybe 5'10" at 12 compared to the boy that weren't even 5 foot or maybe 5 foot. It just, it's puberty, right? It's natural growth. They're going to grow when they grow. Like, unfortunately, some clubs just be like, nope, see you later, gone. And I'm sure Millwall would hold their hands up to some kids and go, oh, we can't, like, he's too small, or he's not effective, blah blah blah. But naturally, then there's always the argument. The other side is, well, how long do you wait? Because it may never come. It could. Southampton, for instance, brilliant at it. They don't care. Like Luke Shaw, you know, how big is he? 5'6", 5'7", or whatever he is. He's come through being small, but what certain clubs will look at is he's one of not very many of that size. They will say, you know, the average height for a footballer now is at 5'11", 6 foot, and they'll say, look, you know, if they're not the average, then the likelihood of making it goes down, and so on and so forth. But again, I look at Millwall, for instance, and again look at their past, and the boys that make it through, even to the boys that are in the first team now. I would say the average height is between 5'8" and 6 foot, or players that make it through from the academy, and that is a variance of position. And
including goalkeeper. Oh, God, so you're just about to say it?
So Osi can see a game where a 19-year-old played the last 3 or 4 games of the season. George Evans, brilliant young goalkeeper. George is 6 foot on the button. Brilliant keeper. But yeah, and then you've got Romain Esse. But again, he grew later on. Seeing him, very slight frame. Got in the first team at 17. Played 65 times. Got a move last January to Palace for 14.5 mil, I think it was. And he came all the way from 7 years old, snotty nose in the pre-academy. So, but yeah, so it's one of them. It all depends on the club. And Millwall, they're in the Championship, right? I think it's a different footballer than the Premier League. Yes, of course, it's still the Premier League academy, and you're trying to make Premier League players, but the reality is they're coming from Millwall, and not Arsenal, let's say. And I think, you know, we're just seeing it with Arsenal, and the players that, you know, Max Dowman, you know, Ethan, Miles Lewis-Skelly, these boys are so physically good.
Any Tottenham lads in that, Keaton? Sorry.
Well, as I say, Mikey Moore and Callum, they're from around our bit. So I actually went and see Tottenham the other day in the UEFA Youth League, because at the agency we got 2 boys for Villarreal, and I was at the game the other day, UEFA Youth League, and Luca Barnett-Williams.
Barnett-Williams, he's the one.
Talent.
Yeah, he's the one.
Outstanding talent. So he, that's what I mean. They're really good. Janai Byfield, centre back. He actually played in that game 90 minutes and then was on the bench for the first team in the evening.
Yeah.
So so it all depends on the club. I'm a big sort of position man. Like, you know, let's be honest, you ain't going to get a 5'5" centre back. But and your wingers, realistically, they've got to be good. They've got to be quick. They've got to be good 1v1. I think it's being more position aware rather than blanket. Right, I want a 6'3" centre midfielder. Looks like Yaya Toure, or 5'6" Xavi. You know, I think it can be different, and I think it's one of them that as long as they can do what the position asks them to do, then I think, you know, it can look however it wants to look.
Keaton, man, I honestly, where have you been all my life? And you've just dispelled so many myths. I had a poor joke I was going to say about South London, but I can't do it because honestly, you've done a sterling job. First and foremost, we just want to check you re-time. Have you still got at least maybe another 10 minutes or so, or do you have to go now? It's 10 o'clock.
No, I'm good. As long as you want me, then I'm here.
Mate, we need you, mate, all our lives. And to be honest, what I love about the way that you are presenting is just the realness. Like, you do care. We can hear it in your voice, but also, like, I would like to say that you're a purist. You know, I had a list of questions here. Let me just read the questions that you've already answered. I said, is height a big thing for Millwall? You already dealt with that. Does the academy reflect the first team or in the image? You know, is it technique over profile? You've already answered a lot of those questions. So I'm going to throw the big spanner in the mix here. My big thing at the moment is, for a lot of the academies, it does feel like it's profile. Drives me absolutely bonkers. I wish more academies would take the approach that you've said, whereas there is a space for everyone. I can't understand why people, even if you're slightly shorter, that they don't just give some technicians a bit of a chance. But also, at the other hand, I take solace in the fact that you've said that my son might end up being 6 foot tall, because if he is, mate, I swear down, mate, I'll jump into the Thames and swim forward and backwards. The question I have for you tonight is, has the academy system with this profile thing, given your experiences in Spain, are we diluting it? Is it getting diluted?
Well, so I thought I knew what a technical player was until I joined this agency, right? I've seen through the years, like again, seeing Max Dowman, unbelievable talent, watching him for the last few years at Arsenal, and not only just him, but obviously he's 15 and in the first team, which is absolutely amazing. But some of the best young players in the country over the last few years, all of the Chelsea boys, some absolutely brilliant talents. And I was like, right, okay, you know, he's so good on the ball, he does this, he does that. In Spain, it's different. It is different. And what they can do with a ball is, you can't take your eyes off of it. Like, you're like, how can someone be at one with a ball? It's almost like the ball was part of the body.
Wow.
And there's actually one of the boys who's at Villarreal. I call him the Magic Man. He is like ballerina with the ball. One to look out for, Hugo Lopez, Spain under 18s. He actually was on the bench for the first team a couple of weeks ago for Villarreal. Absolute outstanding talent, number 10. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like it in the way of someone manipulating the ball. But I also know that S&C is not something that they do. So, and that is a big thing in England. So that's the biggest difference, is that being physical, don't get me wrong, they can handle themselves, but it's because they know how to use their body, and then they put the ball on the safe side. The ball manipulation, ball mastery, the technical, tactical side over there is 90%. The physical, which is the agency, they ran a camp in Marbella, shameless plug, absolute great, 4 days out in Marbella back in June. They took some players from England and some players from Spain, had them together, and it was amazing to watch. Amazing to watch the differences between players. And all three boys from England were 6 foot plus. One of them is 17 in the first team for Derby in the Championship. One of them is just turned 20. He's playing out in Ireland, pro. Was an under 21 at Millwall for 2 years. Another one plays for Arsenal, 16-year-old at Arsenal. They're all over 6 foot. All they know, they've come through the English system, all three of them. Physically imposing, strong, know that they're quick, know that they've got to sort of, you know, get the ball past. They're going to be in a battle every game. The Spanish boys, one was 5'9", one was 5'10". The other one was 5'11", maybe. I think there was about 7 or 8 boys. But they were just, you looked at their profile, they just looked like a normal boy. Like a boy that should look like what the boy looks like at 17, 18, 19. You know? But their technical ability blew the English boys away. And I don't mean blew them away as in they couldn't compete, but the English boys was like, oh my God, these boys are unbelievable with the ball. Like, you know, it's different. They haven't seen anything like it. You know, the way that they could move the ball, the way that they could shoot, and it was in areas, and you're thinking, how did you manage to do that? But then the English boys overtook them in regards to when we did S&C stuff. So we actually took a strength and conditioning coach from London out there. A guy called Terry Hawkey, works up in the Bexley area, works with Mikey Moore, works with a lot of academy players, lots of different clubs, Palace, Charlton, Arsenal, Millwall. He's brilliant, by the way, another little plug. But he came out there and worked him. One of the boys is Uruguay under 20 centre midfielder, plays for Schalke in Germany. And it was like, I've never done anything like this. I've never done anything like this whatsoever. And then, so they have a winter break, and already Hugo Lopez, who plays for Spain, has already said, I'm coming to England, I'm paying for it, I don't care, because I need to work with him in the break. And I think that's the big thing profile-wise, is that out in Spain, it's such a heavy focus on technical, tactical, where they should be, what they should be doing, where to receive it, how to receive it, and then obviously being effective on the front foot when they've got the ball. Whereas in England, we're trying to teach everything you know, the four corner FA model, which absolutely is something that it suits this country, right? In Spain, they probably have a less of a mixed demographic, should I say, as what England does. So don't get me wrong, there's a lot of African boys that are in Spain. One of the boys actually came to the camp, a boy called Junior Bita, was at Athletic Bilbao. He plays for Ivory Coast under 21s, but he born in Spain, born up in the Basque region, and it's one of them that, you know, these boys live and breathe technical, tactical, ball at the feet all the time. It's touches. Whereas, you know, from the games in England, I believe, if I'm being honest, going the athlete route, which has happened, definitely, I think the level of technical ability as an entirety, not as individuals, has gone down. I think that there is a lot of emphasis on being powerful, pushing through overlaps. Like, you know, you don't ever find a Stuart Pearce left back now. You just don't. You know, and he was a brilliant player who played however many times for England and in the top flight for how long. But or the Gary Neville type of right back. You know, everyone is absolutely rapid. I think Ashley Cole changed that in England, where you're almost like another midfielder. You bomb on, crosses in. And I think it goes down to what you enjoy as a person. And again, as I said, the biases are real. They are real. The FA will teach you not to be biased. Unfortunately, what's the first thing when people say when someone's got a good left foot? It's a lovely left foot. When have you ever heard someone say a lovely right foot?
It's true. That's so true. I've never heard it. Yeah.
But so it's one of them things, and again, everyone will say, "Oh, left footers, they just hit the ball so sweet." It's because only 5% people are left-footed. That's why. And you're looking at something different on the eye.
Yeah.
So people will have let's be honest. If you've got a kid who's 6 foot at 12 and are powering through people, why are you not going to play that boy? Of course you are. But there is you know, not everyone, but there are definitely some people that is, what can you do for me right now, rather than the whole journey of where are you going to be at 18, where are you going to be at 21, because, you know, I also see a lot of boys, and I've seen it at Millwall, that they play academy football, very successful, 18s, 21s, on the bench a couple of times. There's actually a boy, he's now in semi-pro playing step-free football, that he was on the bench numerous times in the championship last year, and it was one of them that you're thinking, wow, like, you know, you've dropped down a hell of a lot of leagues, and if I'm being completely honest, he's not setting it alight at step-free because it's different football, and it is sort of like, you know, he was maybe using a lot of natural sort of, you know, attributes, and as time went on, they become less of a thing, and, you know, you've got to learn how to win, and I think that's different as kids get older. But yeah, going back to that profile thing, I do think some clubs just do look at it. You know, I don't want to put down any particular clubs, but I do think there are definitely one or two in the London area that are only looking for one type of player.
Thank you. Thanks, Keaton. Just going to hand over to Andrew. Thank you.
Keaton, so let's we move it forward to where you're at now. I mean, you're touching on it anyway in terms of the agency and stuff. What you just said there about technical and against S&C, and what you said, I think, at the start in terms of your role as in this agency, moving, I guess, boys and men between Spain and England and Spain. What does it take for a young, let's say, 18 to 21-year-old English-born or English player to move to, let's say, a La Liga club in Spain?
Well, Brexit's been a big problem. So, and there's something that I've learned very, very quickly. So, the British passport isn't as strong as it was. So now that all of these clubs, England used to have the same. They have basically non-EU quotas. so they can only have a certain amount of non-EU players. So I know that Bellingham, for instance, Conor Gallagher was one. They had to get Irish passports to then be part of the the EU quota, which Ireland is benefiting massively from. Lots of Irish boys are moving onto the continent now, and it is a big draw. I know there's tons and tons of players from Ireland that are now, before they used to come to England and they would go anywhere in England, any club, any division, and now them boys are being given opportunities at lots and lots of clubs. And I know that a couple of them have signed for English clubs, but because they can't go at 16 now, they can only go at 18 on a work visa. That they have to wait and play in Ireland until they're 18. So I know Arsenal signed one and Tottenham have signed one. Both forward players. One's a winger, I think, and one's a striker. Both very, very talented boys. Both for over £1 million, but they can't go until they're 18. But for a La Liga club, it's exactly that. It's have you got something that people desire? I think that's any club. I think that's anywhere in the world. Have you got something that someone wants? Because at the end of the day, it's buying and selling. It's you got to drive up big enough demand for the player through the profile, try and boost their profile as much as you can, and make them wanted by and desired by as many people as possible. I think that's the plan. Again, I'm learning from someone who has done it for 25 years. Obviously being an ex-player at the top level and being in around the players that he's had, Dani, Olmo and Álvaro, Morata, from when they were 15. So he's had them from the start and built their careers all the way. So he's seen lots of different things. And again, he's also been a part of other players' careers who have gone on to be great, but at some point has cut them off due to, relationship breakdowns or people acting maybe a little bit, things change, right? Relationships do break down. So big name players that have gone on to, have big careers, but he was there at the beginning and it's looking at what do people have. So let's just use a club, I don't know. If someone's had, let's say Lukaku, who's played for Inter Milan, or he played for Napoli, or wherever he played at, if he done really well at that time, it's likely they're going to look for that type of player again. Yeah. So then they're looking at a market of players that have previously done well for them. Again, Barcelona, Gavi and Pedri are very, very similar to Xavi and Iniesta, right?
Of course, yeah.
So, and absolutely outstanding players. And you'd like to think that Frankie de Jong's quite similar to Sergio Busquets in the way of how he likes to play. Maybe, in my opinion, maybe not as good, but definitely in the same sort of style. And you look at that and you go, right, okay, well, it's just exactly that. It's coming from England to Spain. It's Bellingham. Let's be honest, when he went to Real Madrid, was there a better box-to-box midfielder probably playing in the world at his tender age? Probably not. And then, he's levelled up there. I know he's got a little bit of, he's had his injuries recently, but he's an outstanding footballer. Conor Gallagher at Chelsea, captain, England. Was he the most fanciable name? No. But if anyone knows about Atletico Madrid, it's Diego Simeone. The guy is absolutely that tactical mastermind. He's won things that with the squad shouldn't win. He's built on sort of strength and being organised and disciplined, and Conor Gallagher fits that down to a T. So I think it's finding players that suit what you're trying to do. So I think again, now that I'm involved in it, I think absolutely, you've got to see what's out there. You're seeing more and more boys venture outside of England now. London, as we all know, grassroots, academy, whatever, it's such a saturated market. There's so many players, there's so much good football, which is amazing. You're watching good football all the time. There's so many good players, everyone knows everyone. It's such a small place, so whether it be the Kent League or the Echo early on, and then obviously the EJA and the Kent Youth League, North London Youth League, whatever it may be, the Surrey Youth League, South West. There's tons and tons of football. JPL obviously on a Saturday, whoever's doing that. There is so much football that you can consume through the week. So much. You could go Hackney Marshes and watch football day in, day out. night in, night out. You go Market Road, you can go anywhere in London. As I say, Marathon Ground over South London. Wherever it is, you can watch tons of games. Like today, Marathon Ground, basically, it's the start of the Selkent League, and under 7s, they do a welcome festival for under 7s. So it literally was every single under 7 team that are entering the Selkent League play at the same place in one day.
Mental.
So you've probably got 100 odd teams, and they're all playing between 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's an absolute scout's dream. But
of course,
that's just one league or one age group.
Yeah.
And you've got that all over London, and plus, as I'm massively attested to, the amount of boys that come and play in London that are from nowhere near London, and they come in because it's the only way that they can find the football that's going to stretch their child.
Yeah.
So, and it might be, at the clubs that you guys are associated with or whatever it is, you find this kid comes from far away, and you think, why are you coming in? But wherever they're from, an hour outside of London or wherever it may be, there's no challenge for them. And also, the variants of challenges, like as you guys know, I know that you use Echo League people, that you've got your Tower Hamlets, Hackney teams, and you're going all the way out to your Chigwells and your Buckhurst Hills. They're different teams. They could be equally as good, but they're different teams. And it's the same in South London. The inner London teams, your Dynamo Youth, your Lambeth Tigers, outstanding. Produce so many boys. The same as all the teams that are obviously in East as well. But you go out towards your Dartfords, Bromleys, they equally are producing boys. Not as many, but the teams look different. They play different.
Yeah.
That the setups are different. So, and I think that's a big thing that as these boys get older, looking outside of London and looking outside of England is something that's definitely becoming more and more attractive. You're seeing it more and more that especially boys with second passports, especially if it's a European one. Them
Start looking.
are there.
So just on that, Keaton, if you were to give some advice to a parent, to a young player in academy, maybe about looking outside, you've got a second passport, so we've had to lose Dej. Sorry, Dej, didn't get to answer your question. But what are the things that they should be doing? Should they be thinking about learning the second language? Should they be
not
doing?
Necessarily.
No.
No, well, it all depends on where you want to go with it, what you want to do. Like having an EU passport, again, London is the amount of people that have come to London in the last 30, 40, 50, 60 years from everywhere in the world, that there's, the amount of people that are, 3, 4, 5 generations deep now of people that whenever they came to the country, that their lineage somewhere has another passport, right? So whether it's in the EU, which again, you've got freedom of movement within the EU. So if you've got a Eastern European passport with Lithuania, Polish or French, Spanish, whatever, German, you can move to any of them countries and just pick up your stuff and go. Yeah. You can't do that with England anymore. England you could do that. No, you can't. So they in football terms, that's why they move around so often, because they can move around, and it doesn't affect international spots, it doesn't affect non-EU stuff, doesn't affect anything. They can literally just sign and go and just crack on. So I think for me, again, if you have access to that passport, let's just say French, then I would like to think you're just giving yourself more opportunities and more options. It doesn't mean that you are going to go somewhere. It doesn't mean that someone's going to want you. But if at 15, which national teams do, they send circulars round clubs, academies to find out eligibility for players. I definitely know the home nations do it quite early on. Millwall have had a couple of boys end up, they're playing for Wales at the moment. as a result of Wales finding out what boys had eligibility. But I definitely know other clubs, other countries do. I know Jamaica made a big drive a couple of years ago, finding a lot of the English boys. Albania as well. I actually know the guys who set up who are in charge of the UK Albanian Football Federation thing. Two really good guys who their main thing is finding boys of Albanian descent to go and put them in the national team. And Armando Broja, who obviously Premier League player, he was like the first big one for them, where, you know, British born, but obviously plays for Albania. But the Albanian national team wouldn't have necessarily known about until obviously through their network of people here. And then again, I think it's you open yourself up. So you're seeing it more and more now with a lot of the African countries, Ghana, Nigeria, that a lot of boys that were born here, but maybe their parents are from Nigeria or Ghana, they're representing the country of their parents' birth rather than their own, rather than England. They may have gone through the English national youth system, but they've reached an age where they're like, oh, actually, I either want to play for Nigeria, or it might be that, oh, I don't think I'm going to play for England, so I'm going to change now. And that's happened. You know, there's lots and lots of players, and there's nothing wrong with it. I think anyone's given an opportunity to play international football, I think they've been mad not to take it up. Again, the experiences and everything like that. But I think, if you're 14, 15, and you've got access to another passport that potentially you could move, great. Because if you've got a foreign passport, an EU one, you can leave at 16. If you've only got a British passport, you can't leave until you're 18. So if a player wanted to go to Barcelona and they've just got a British passport, then they cannot leave until they're 18. If they have a Spanish passport, they can go at 16, which is what some players have taken the option of doing in the last few years since Brexit.
Amazing knowledge. Thank you very much for that, Keaton. Much appreciated. Some gems there, some real gems. I know OC's got more than one question, or a question at least for you, and then we're going to hand back to Rash. Conscious of your time, Keaton.
That's all right. Go for it.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the title at the top, like Keaton Hutchings. I know what type of guy you are, so it fits well. But when Dad said Keaton Hutchings, football extraordinaire, I think that would sum it up, because like the rich knowledge that you have of the game is just so refreshing for like me, and I'm sure the listeners to hear. It almost sounds like I know in terms of this football agency piece and like this next step in your journey that you're going to have some real good success there, because like you say, it comes back down to the care and the relationships, but also just you can just feel like that real desire like for the game. So I know that you're going to fly in that space, and I really look forward to seeing that journey. I
definitely hope so. Anyway.
It's going to happen, Keith. No doubt about it. What I want to come back to is that earlier on you touched on something which I thought was really, really important, and you said, listen, you love the game and you work full time in the game and you get paid for it. And everyone on this call, people listening, I'm sure they just have this idea of their kid playing as the captain for the team that they support, playing in the World Cup, this and that. And what I was going to ask was, just in terms of the journey, as parents listening in, from a young age, what do you feel the focus should be on? Obviously, they're trying to be professional footballers, but I feel like some parents and players might be missing the fact that the game is so big, it's so vast, that you can be an agent, you can be a physio. And I'm not telling everyone to give up and start focusing on those things right now, but just in terms of the game, do you think that parents should be just trying to get their kids into academy straight away now, like from a young age, or have you seen it work a bit better later on? And second to that, with the boys that have gone through and in the game, have there been any conversations about other routes within the game, like journalism, physio, agency? Do those conversations take place or not?
Yeah, so Millwall, I can only, as I say, a lot of my experiences with Millwall. As part of the scholarship, the boys will do uh, all their FA badges, their coaching badges, PT badge, referee badges, stuff like that. And obviously they're doing their college stuff with it. So whether that's BTEC courses, A levels, wherever their sort of education levels at. And a lot of it is Millwall. Whenever they do the under-8 signing, the academy director talks about life after Millwall. So basically, they're called Millwall successes, and so people that have gone on to be something outside of Millwall, outside of playing football, let's say, and so they've had people that are like, you know, solicitors, judges, people that work in other areas of the sport, people that have, you know, set up businesses and so on and so forth. And I think that's a big thing. I think fundamentally, one of the big things you should take out of academy is you're learning traits of life. You're learning that, you know, if you want something, you've got to work for it. You're learning that to work together as a team, but also you're striving as an individual to keep pushing. I think, you know, they would probably hate me saying it, but a pressured environment. And that comes from parents, that comes from the players, that comes from just the fact of there's retain and release. It's a selection process, right? So not everyone's going to make it through. Very little players make it through that, and everyone wants it to be their boy. Of course they do. Why wouldn't they? You know, you're not in it to, you know, you're in it to win it. So you're not in it to just, oh, I'm not here to take part, you're here to take over. So everyone comes in with that sort of ideology at the beginning, but it's about being exposed to as many different things, as many different places, seeing places. Again, at under-8s, like, we have taken so many boys to places in the country that I know that their parents have never even been to, let alone them. So people have gone to cities in the country, play and training grounds. Like, I'm talking, this is dad's dreams. You're going to training grounds, Man United's training ground, Man City's training ground, Nottingham Forest, like Villa, or tons, don't matter where they are, tons and tons of training grounds. I forget the amount of teams we played against, but like, and the fact that I can create that for nothing, it doesn't cost anything. Obviously, yes, the petrol for the parents to get there, but and then depending on where it is, if they're going to get a hotel or whatnot, but that's an experience that, you know, we call it a pub story in 30 years' time. You know, you're telling that, oh, I played against little whoever, and he's playing for England now, and I played against him at under-8s. I went to their training ground. Oh, I've done that. It's a pub story. Like, that's something where you hold on to them experiences, and there's so many things that you're going to gain from an academy. Do I feel that you need to be in it early? No, I really don't, because there are so many successes later on. I think as the FA model, as the EPPP model that came in 2012, I think it has evolved now that I think it was the 2021 one, the one where England got to the final. I think it was every player in the starting 11 started in an academy at under-9. I think there was a big stat about it. A lot of them players are not at the club that they were at, but I think there's a lot of pluses from being in early. Again, you're around like-minded individuals. You know, a lot of people that are trying to push forward that you may not get grassroots. Everyone knows you probably got 3, 4, 5 hard games a season. And again, everyone in your team is of mixed ability. Yes, there are some clubs that favour winning and wanting to push forward. As we all know, that comes with, you know, some unsavoury characters in the game. Certain places that you go to that you have certain clubs that just want to take you out and whatever. That is less so in academy. You've got a lot more clubs that are just trying to push for good football. So there are benefits of coming in younger, but also some boys haven't started playing football at 5, 6 to go into a pre-academy. Some haven't even started. Some, you know, don't pick up the ball till really and do it properly, and they might kick a ball about down in the pitch, or, you know, in the front room, or mess around with their, you know, siblings and mates. But that might be in primary school. It's only if they really take it seriously in secondary school, and then give it a couple of years, 13s, 14s, that's when they're hitting the academy, and they've never been in that environment before. And because of their such infancy to the environment, when they do kick on and their training kicks in, they just go levels above, and they still have that hunger and desire, you know. And there's always the argument that an academy boy is quite sanitized, you know. They're sort of, you know, they've just gone through the mill of it year in, year out, that by the time that they're 15, 16, they're just part of the system, and they sort of lose their own identity. Again, not all clubs, some players. And I think there's a case for everything, you know. There'll always be some people, and again, you know, it's the case where people talk about all the time about Cat 1. Oh, I need to be at Cat 1. I get the argument for it. You start at the top. If it doesn't work out, you drop down a little bit. You know, if you was to start at a Cat 3, where do I go? I back to grassroots. And then, so I understand that area of it, but also that Cat 3, that Cat 2, that might be the perfect place for your child. And that's what's the most important thing. It's about, I need a place for my child to grow and develop, and given the time to grow and develop, but also be pushed when the time's right. So, and again, who's got the best coaches for your child? So if you've got a load of coaches that your child can't identify with, but they're the best club, is that the best place for your child? Maybe not. They might not care about your child. You might find a club that's lower, who has got someone's best intentions at heart, someone who's going to be there and help you grow, speak to you on a more personable level, that's going to maybe give you the insight to certain things that you can then push on. And it might be, you know, I have a chat with you a month before your review, and I know what they're going to tell you, because I can see it with my eyes, and I say, right, in the next 6 weeks, 6 weeks, work on this. Because when that time comes, in 4 to 6 weeks, they're gonna have to rethink what they tell you, because I already can see it. So, but you might not have that at a bigger Cat 1, because there's a detachment from, because there is so many staff, that someone might not have the access to seeing every single training session or every single game, or having access to. I know that not all scouts at Cat 1s have got access to the VO and huddle of the games, of the players. I know that, but I know at Millwall they do. If a scout wants access to whatever game, they can get the access. It's no problem, because, and that was something that, a reason why I stayed at Millwall, was the access of being able to go, right, the under 15s played against Southampton. Okay, I've got an under 15 that I've looked at for a team. I think he's good enough. Let me go and watch them train on a Monday. Let me go and watch their game on the Sunday, and then I can make a judgment of whether I think that player comes in or not. Because the last thing anyone wants is a player being put into the club that ain't ready, because that's not the child's fault if they're not. If you bring them in, it's your fault as a scout. And it's one of them that, yes, sometimes you do want to see how people develop over time, but there are some kids who just shouldn't be there in the beginning, and that's not their fault, because they're the ones who've been scouted by somebody who should know. But unfortunately, not every club gives you the access to know. So, but a little insight there to some clubs. Again, no digs. But unfortunately, there are some coaches and there are some scouts who, you know, are in it for maybe the tracksuit and the clout, rather than, you know, actually trying to do the best by what's happening. So, but you know, they get found out in time.
Keaton, listen, we could go on and on and on. So you've got to promise me this, please, that you'll come back in a few months' time, and yeah, we'll talk more about scouting and more about the agency journey. So can you promise us that?
Definitely.
Perfect.
Absolutely, no problem. Anytime that you want me to come on, just give me a shout.
Appreciate it. So I think the listeners have had an absolute stormer of a session today with you, Keaton. You've dropped so many gems. You've spoken from the heart. You've actually been very generous with your answers. And what I mean by that is you've been honest, you've given insight, you've actually thought about the questions we've asked, gone above and beyond, and given information you think we as parents, we as panelists we as so-called journalists and the listeners would actually want to know. You've dropped some names, you've given some shout-outs, you've actually given so much information that I think this is going to be one of those episodes that are stored and saved and played back to kids and parents as well from some coaches, because I think some of the information has been absolutely brilliant. So thank you very much for that. I've learned a lot myself. So
appreciate it, guys.
No, honestly, we appreciate you. So as is customary, we have some customary stuff at the start and we have some customary stuff at the end. Before I wrap up, we have a question for you, the last question. But before we ask that question, you have to give us another promise. And that promise is, when you give your answer, you have to help us with the answer. It will all make sense when I ask the question. So, given your experience, given you've been on the pod now, who do you think we should have on the pod? But before you answer that, you have to help us get that person on.
Yep. I touched on him very early on. One of my good friends, Paul Palmer, for multiple reasons. One, worked in his dad's club that he set up, 10&B. They produced Ian Wright, so that everyone's a fan of Uncle Ian. His dad coached him when he was younger. Obviously, there's still a big affinity with the club now. Again, Paul worked. He's Mr. Lewisham, so worked. Obviously, he had 10&B as a football club. Played himself. Worked at Millwall for 20 years, various capacities, community, the women's side, girls academy, boys academy. Was the lead foundation phase coach before he left. Had a son that was at a Cat 2 academy. Ran his grassroots team that had Casey Palmer and Joe Gomez in the same team. Both ended up playing for England 21s at the same time. So again, a son that went from Cat 2, Charlton, signed for Chelsea, big Cat 1. One was in the best youth team ever. Tammy Abraham, all of them boys, Tamori, all of them that won everything for years, was in that team. Obviously been a pro. His brother is a great coach, now head of coaching, but also now has transitioned into independent schools. So he's at the only independent school in the borough of Lewisham. I don't think it's any sort of under any illusion that Lewisham has produced, one, a lot of footballers, but two, is a very deprived area. There are some areas that are very, very rich, but there's some areas that are very, very, very poor. So Paul, one of his big things was providing opportunities for people from Lewisham. That's why he was at Millwall. That's why he was there. Wasn't a Millwall fan. That was the local team, and he wanted local boys to play for the local team, and he was at a local club. So he done that. He then now can change people's lives. So he's now has the opportunity as the director of sport at the private school to give boys free private education through football.
Massive.
And that school, they're breeding leaders of tomorrow. So I think for him, don't get me wrong, I cannot promise anything. But if you guys do check out the series that's on ITV, you get a little sprinkling of who Paul is. So that could be something that I could help you with, just if you think he's a good candidate. But I could definitely have a chat with Paul. He's also, before he has spoke at various other things, he's also the Premier League Academy consultant as well. Being a parent, going through the system, but also as a coach, very unique position. There isn't many coaches out there that have had that someone who was active in academy and also a kid that went all the way to the top. So I think he's been used quite a lot. He's a big advocate for about experiences, and for me was massive and part of my journey, and I still speak to him so regular. I'd like to call him a mentor of mine. someone who, when it's about football stuff, I definitely feel like I can confide in it. But also I know that he's the mentor to quite a few people in South London, and a lot of people value his opinion and appreciate who he is, and an absolute outstanding coach as well. So yeah, as I say, that's the one person who I think would be great, because he understands it from grassroots, understands academy, and understands pro. So yeah, and as I say, a man of a wealth of experience.
Yes, please, and thank you is what I'll say to that. And twice on Sunday. And also, we're going to clip that up and we'll just use that for his intro when he comes on. So that's brilliant. So no, listen.
Yeah,
Keaton,
I'll tell him not to blush too much when he does come on. So yeah, as I say, I'll let you guys know. I'll have a chat with him tomorrow, and then I'll let you guys know.
Appreciate that. Appreciate you, and thank you. And thank you to the listeners that have stayed with us. This has been an absolutely amazing show. I know I say it all the time because they are all amazing, but this one really, I've learned so much. So if we've learned so much as panelists, and we've been doing this for a little while now, I'm sure you guys listening have learned so much as well. And we will get Keaton back on, and we will hopefully get Mr. Palmer on as well. So guys, listen, we ask you to do this every week. We want you to smash that like button. Please subscribe so you get notified of these gems coming into your YouTube feed straight away. Leave a comment about anything you've heard today. Please leave a comment. And also, guys, you know that you are true to this. We know this. Please tell a friend and introduce somebody who may be new to this. And if you're listening on the audio feed, please leave a review and leave a like. We've been Ball at All Cost. You've been great. Keaton, you've been amazing. And we are out.